Welcome back to Business at its Best. You know, the education landscape for Idaho has definitely changed in recent years. It's all about options and opportunities. Whether you want to brush up on skills or learn a new career, you have a number of choices. One school, Henager College, is a pace setter. Shane Reeder is the regional director for Henager. Shane, so good to have you with us today.
Well, thank you.
Always exciting to see what's going on. I was having a conversation and told folks I'm spending a lot of time at Henager, either participating in some education opportunities, speaking at for some organizations. So you've really opened up the doors and brought the community in. But let's talk about those options first and foremost. You're finding some unique ways to pair the online learning experience, as we talk about cutting edge, with face-to-face. What's happening?
Well, we have to respond that way because the traditional student is no longer the typical student. Most students now are returning and trying to balance work, home life, and school at the same time. And so they need the flexibility of online school, but they need the high contact and the high touch to make the process easy.
So to do that, you have some highly skilled instructors who are teaching online, but then you pair that with a face-to-face, and that was fascinating. How do you do that?
Well, absolutely. We've done that in two directions. With our traditional face-to-face classes, we've given that more of an online component, so our students have the flexibility that they need to balance that work-life event. And with our online students, we've reversed that, and so we've given them a face-to-face contact with a mentoring opportunity at a place close to them. So they can go to an education center, they can enroll in school, they can find a tutor, they can negotiate the financial aid process, and they can go and have a face-to-face conversation if a problem comes up.
Now, you briefly mentioned this idea they can go someplace close to them. Let's talk about some of those locations where you're expanding the Henager opportunity, that face-to-face contact throughout the region. I mean, you're talking everywhere from Weiser to Idaho Falls.
Our most robust right now is in Idaho Falls. We have 120 students studying online that come to our education center and participate in those tutoring events, enrollment events, financial aid events, etc.
And then also Weiser, but some of the other outlying communities. Give us an idea.
We're moving toward a smaller scale so that we can touch more students and give more students an opportunity to continue with their career and their work as they're going, but pick up a degree so they have career advancement down the road. And so we're looking at places like Weiser, McCall, St. Anthony, places where it's difficult to take a traditional educational model to those communities and taking the online model, but having a local place in perhaps a shared location with a coffee shop where students can come and have that face-to-face contact with a tutor, someone to help them in the enrollment process, someone to make the process of going to school easy so they can focus on their education.
So there's an opportunity for partnership with local business on this when I hear you talk about a coffee shop.
We're looking at those partnerships in McCall and in Weiser and in the smaller locations, Mountain Home, for example. In a larger town, Boise, Nampa, Idaho Falls, a standalone makes a lot more sense.
Now, Henager has locations throughout the western U.S. You're not alone in this, but when we sat down and had lunch a couple days ago, we were talking about this idea of the offerings that you have here, and really you're able to pioneer and be entrepreneurial in the way that you are approaching this. What's the reaction from your counterparts across the western side of the U.S.?
Well, it's interesting because Idaho sets itself up for pioneering in some of these models because of the rural nature of our state. Mm-hmm. And so we're being watched quite carefully now. There aren't a lot of people jumping to try the same things, but we're being watched to see if it's going to be effective or not effective. And I think we're going to be followed.
Yeah, exactly. You're creating the test and charting new territory.
We're excited for it.
And it's exciting to have you in the community doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Shane
you.
Reeder with Henager College. Thanks for being with us.